Hey, this is Natalie with A Fit Journey. Yes, I am sitting in my shower. About every 1.5 to 2 years, I have to reseal the grout and the tiles, and I have to replace the caulking, because no matter how many times you clean it, when you have 4 people that are using the same shower, sometimes twice a day, it is really hard to dry out, and you do end up getting mildew. There's just no way around it. Even using handmade soaps and good body products, you still get mildew when it is constantly damp in here. So I'm going to fast forward through most of this, but just kind of giving you an idea that it is simple and it is doable. It just takes some time. So the first thing you need to do is make sure that it is super clean. So the first thing I do is use a really good cleaner. I use Zep Mold and Mildew. It is very strong, so you want to wear a mask. We don't use it very often in our home, only when I'm doing this. I do use it in apartment complexes because when you have a tenant who hasn't cleaned in a while, that's usually the best thing to do to get rid of stuff. So I'll clean that up. That does a really good job of zapping everything. Generally we clean with vinegar and water and use Caulk, something like that. And anyway, so once I've done that, then I go down and clean everything with a Norwex product. And I'm to the point where I have scrubbed all the surfaces, and I'm going to use a razor blade to take off the old caulking, and then we'll clean it up again. So there's more of the shower over here you won't see, so I'll be fast forwarding through all that, and then we'll go on to the next step. But it's very simple, it's very doable, and it just takes a little bit of time. So I'm going to use a razor blade. I have one of these, and that's what I'm going to do, just scrape off the caulking and get going. I have removed the caulking on this half of the shower. I still have that half of the shower to do, but you can't see me, so I went ahead and stopped it. So what I'm going to do now is I have a Scotch pad or a abrasive pad. I'm going to go through all of the seams and scrub it with this, and that will take off all the little bits that I couldn't get off with the razor blade or the screwdriver. So I'll go around with this and get everything scrubbed off. As you can see here, I didn't go all the way up because this part does not have anything wrong with it. The seal is still very good. There is no mildew or anything on that. So I'm just going to do a little bit of an overlap. We are going to be redoing the shower sometime in the next probably year or two. So because it has 2 shower heads and one of them isn't working correctly because this was original with the house. So we're going to have to redo the shower anyway. If we weren't going to be redoing it, then I would go ahead and work on this and rip it out, but this is still in good shape, so I'll just overlap a little bit, and that'll be fine. So I'll scrub it with this, and then I'm going to come through with the Zep, or a bleach solution will work too, clean out all the cracks again to get all the little bits of mildew, and then let that dry, and then come through with mineral spirits, wipe everything down. That's going to get rid of the last little bits of oil, and put a fan in here overnight so everything is really good and dry. And then tomorrow we're going to go ahead and re-caulk the seams. Hi all, we are back. It's the next day and I have thoroughly cleaned everything, and I actually had to get some bleach out to get a couple of the spots, but that's fine. I may have said this yesterday, but if you have just a regular shower or a tub that's just the tub that has the surrounds, it will not take that long, and you'll not have to do as much prep work because you'll just have those 3 little seams to do, and it doesn't take very much time at all. You can get it all done in a day. But when you have a tile shower, especially one like this one that is, gosh, this house was built in 2001, so it's 17 years old. So for it to be in this good a condition, that usually doesn't happen. So you just have to maintain it, take care of it, keep sealing it, and it'll last you a lot longer. Now, like I had said, we are going to be redoing the shower, so depending on what you have, it may not need as much, or it may need more. So what I'm doing now is I have some of the blue painter's tape, and I am taping off basically my guides. This will help me keep the lines clean and helps also with cleanup. So I have done most of it already, and I'm going to tape off just these two sections that I haven't done yet, and then we'll go ahead and start caulking the shower. So you want to have the painter's tape and some paper towels, your tube of caulking depending on what color you want. When I was at the store, they did not have the clear, they didn't have the almond color, which is what I used before, so I did get the clear. This is our shower, nobody's going to see it but us. So if it's something like if you have a rental property or something, you want to do something that looks a little bit more uniform. And actually, speaking on rental properties, when we do have some of them that have the tub combos, that have the tub and then the surrounding walls, we do have to replace it every year. So when we have tenants in there, even if you're cleaning, we clean our shower every single week, and then we also have some of that clean shower spray that we use, but it still happens. So just something you have to deal with. And the tile showers, if you don't keep up on sealing it, it's something that you have to do more often and on the grout. So to have everything you want here, like I said, your paper towels, when you have your tube of caulking, a glove is very handy to have, and then you'll want one of the caulking guns. So I'll get to that in just a second, and let me go ahead and finish taping this off, and then we'll talk about the next step. And these, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just a general guide. Now when you rip it, try to get a straight line, because that will help with the corners. So line it up here. Now I'm going up about a quarter of an inch. Make sure you press down that line. Of course, that's a little bit more than a half an inch, but that's okay. Press that down. And you'll hear my kids hollering in the background because it's the weekend. And that's what kids do. And this next wall, we're doing the chores. So I told them that they had to have most of it done by the time I was done with this. We'll see if it happens, right? Now this step, if you're using a clear caulking, or if you don't really mind not having the straight lines, you don't have to do this part. But it really helps with cleanup. And it also actually helps when you are removing it for the next time. Because if you have these nice straight lines, it's a lot easier to take off with a razor blade than if you have very thin kind of spread out lines with your finger that you have to razor off, because those are uneven ends and there are different thicknesses, so it can take a little bit more effort to get it off. And really press down on that seam just like if you were painting. So one more little strip and then we'll started. And I'm obviously not going to videotape all this because half the shower, I have my arms both out straight. So I'm about halfway right in the shower. You're not going to be able to see me videotape that, so I'm not going to videotape that part. So on the caulking gun, there's different types. If you've not used one of these before, super easy. Press here to pull that part out. And when you are doing this, take off the end first. So obviously that will need to be cut. Some of the caulking guns will have a little circle somewhere around in here, and you just put this in and then you squeeze it and it cuts the end off. This one does not have that. So I'm going to just use some scissors. You don't want to make your hole too big. Some of them have little guides or little lines, and actually this one does. So if you look at it, it will say there's an 1/8 of an inch. What is that? 3/16, 1/4 of an inch, and then let's see, that says 5/16. And actually, I'm going to jump forward really quick. On this, it says 30 minutes water ready, permanently waterproof. But then you read the back, and that's only if you're doing 3/16 of an inch. So I'm going to actually be going thicker than that. Not thicker here, but thicker on here. So I'm going to give it a full 24 hours before we actually use it. So it depends on how thick that you do it. But you don't want to cut it too big, because then you end up with this giant gob of caulking on there, and you don't really want to have that. And yes, it says also on the 7-year mold free. It's not 7 years. And on the back, it says cured sealant is resistant to stain causing mold, mildew, and bacteria for 7 years. Regular cleaning of the cured sealant is required, however, as soap or other residue can cause secondary mold and mildew growth. So like I said yesterday, when you have 4 people using a shower, and you have sometimes people using it multiple times a day if you work out, whatever, it doesn't really have a chance to fully dry out unless you're going to have a fan in here all the time. So it's going to happen, and it happens to everybody, not a big deal. So you'll have to replace this once a year, once every other year, every 18 months, whatever. So I'm going to cut this off. Not too big. There we go. And if I need to make it bigger, I will. Now this is the part that people often forget, and they cut the end off and they try to use it. On your caulking gun, here's this little tool. There is a piece of material in there that seals it. So if you try to use your gun, it's not going to work. And this might actually pop out the back end you don't want. So you use this, you stick it in there. There, it's broken. Now that little piece in there is broken, and you can use it now. Don't forget that step. So we're going to stick that in there. Go ahead and press that forward. Okay. And have your paper towel ready, because when you start pressing it, it's going to start obviously squeezing out, and when you take a little bit of a break and set the gun down, the caulking gun is going to keep dripping. You don't have to use a glove, but it does make life a little cleaner. So let's go ahead and get started. And there it goes. There we go. So some people go up, some people go down. When they use the caulking gun, it doesn't really matter. It's just a matter of preference. Now, if you have something that does have a deeper hole, you'll kind of want to go back and forth with it. I know you can't see what I'm doing. So I stopped at that point. I'm going to kind of go around this corner real quick, but it's still oozing out. So that's where you want the paper towel. You can also pop this out to stop it from pushing out, but put that on the paper towel. And then you have a nice place to clean the drips. So I'm going to run my finger along here to smooth it out. And it'll be a nice cleanup because I have that tape. And I can actually work faster this way, because when you don't have that tape, you have to work a lot slower and be cleaner. And then I'm just going to wipe my finger off with that. I'm going to keep going. Now this caulking, I have used clear caulking before. Some of them are white and then they end up clear, so make sure you know what you're using. This one is actually going on clear. So I'm going to go ahead and come over here. Now what I mean, hopefully you can see this, when I'm talking about this one actually has a really deep crack right there, a deep corner. So I'm actually going to kind of go up and down with it to really push it in to that corner. Now, like I said, I clean this really well. I use the Scotch pad to get off the extra little pieces, and then I used mineral spirits to get off the extra oils, and then cleaned it again from there. So this part's going to be a little bit thick. Wipe off my ends, and then I'm just going to run my finger along there to smooth it out right there. So now I have that really nice piece. And then, I don't know if you can see it, but I have these little ridges of caulking there. And when I peel the tape off, it'll be gone. Now, if I did not have the tape here, then I'd have to continue smoothing those out and cleaning those up. So when you're doing this, it's not hard. It really isn't hard. It just takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of elbow grease on the actual cleaning up part, but it's not hard. I think some people think it's a really daunting task. It's not bad. So here I'm actually kind of doing a little bit of pushing and pulling. Some people have a preferred way of doing it, but it doesn't really matter on that. So I'm going to smooth that line out. I'm actually going to put a little bit more on this one. Spilled a little bit. There we go. And if you can use the clear is actually a lot nicer, because if you don't have the, I mean, depending on the color of your grout, or whatever you're trying to match, when you use the color types, you can see the finger lines, and like if you don't have something perfectly lined up, corners are especially hard to get totally smooth, but with the clear, you can't see that at all. But some people like the color. And here, see how I'm going up? You see it? Like I'll go a few inches and I'll give it a little push. That gives me a little bit extra caulking. So when I'm running my finger along it, along the line, it'll help push it in, and also it'll keep the line a little bit consistent if I get thin. I'm just going to talk a little bit more and then I'll shut it off, because you're not going to be able to see me do the rest. So if you end up using, depending on, this should last me the whole shower. So if you're just doing a regular tub surround, then you'll only need one of these. Sometimes you'll need more if you're doing a project like what I'm doing, or a bigger project if you have to go up the sides and everything. So if you have multiple projects, or it's going to be a couple days, or so you open it and use it again, get a screw and just stick the screw down in there, and that will help seal it. So then you just pull it out, it'll pull the caulking out, and then you can use this same one again, because if you forget that part, this is going to harden up and it's trash. You can't use it again. Once this has dried for several hours and it has a skim over the top, I'm going to come back in with a, this is a grout and tile sealer, and it actually has microban in it. And I'm going to spray down all the tile, all the grouts, and then I'm going to wipe it off, and then I'll wait a while and I'll do it again, and that will actually help seal in the grout and the tile. So, because if you saw earlier, and there's some residual staining here, that was from me waiting too long between sealing it. And when you're using a shower, when you're cleaning it, it continually wears that down. So that's something that you want to keep doing. There's spray types, there's wipe-on types, or different types. So once I'm done with caulking everything, I will take off the tape, because you don't want to wait until this is dry, because then you pull it off, it's going to pull your caulking off. So I'm going to go ahead and get it done, pull the tape off, come back in a couple hours, spray it down, wipe it, do it again, and then tomorrow we'll be able to use it. So hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, it's not hard to do. It just takes a little bit of time and some elbow grease, but something that's very doable, and you can do it. So we'll see you again next time.